So I will covering this topic under the following headings: principle of vaccine development, phases of vaccine development, under which assessment of disease burden and economic resources, preclinical development phase of vaccine, under which pathogen identification, and antigen selection, formulation selection, testing in animal models, toxicology evaluation, small-scale production of GMP lots, submission of application to regulatory authorities, and clinical development phase of vaccine, under which clinical trials, vaccine approval, large-scale manufacturing of vaccine, and then post-licensure and deployment, under which immunization implementation, post-licensure pharmacovigilance, and phase 4 studies if indicated, and at last, challenges in vaccine development during emergencies such as pandemic. So vaccine is an immunobiological preparation that provides specific protection against a given disease. Following vaccine administration, the immunogen stimulates the immunity system of the body to produce active immunity in form of protective antibodies and or innocompetent T cell response. Attributes of a good vaccine. A good vaccine has the ability to elicit appropriate immune response for the particular pathogen. Long-term protection, ideally lifelong. Safety. Vaccine itself should not cause any disease, and stable. It should be stable and retain its immunogenicity despite adverse storage condition prior to administration. And it should be inexpensive and easily affordable. Who are interested in new vaccine? Patient groups, medical professionals, policymakers, government, health insurance companies, public or private health maintenance organizations. There is a broad overview showing the various phases in vaccine development and deployment. I will be discussing these main phases in coming slides. First of all, assessment of disease burden and economic resources. Assessment of disease burden. The factors considered during the assessment of disease burden are quality adjusted life years. It includes both mortality and morbidity. Then the financial cost to society. It includes how disease is managed currently, health arrangements, socio-economic factors, and the pathophysiology of disease like transmissibility, pathogenicity, and defining the target population for new vaccine. Funding of vaccine program. Various organizations funds the vaccine program. It is mainly funded by national bodies. Supranational organizations also play a key role in funding, like Global Alliance for Vaccine and Immunization, Pan American Health Organization, International Finance Facility for Immunization, and Advanced Market Commitments. In India, the Indian Council of Medical Research (ICMR) is the apex body that is responsible for the formulation, coordination, and promotion of biomedical research. It receives funding from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and the Department of Health Research, Government of India. Preclinical development phase. The preclinical development phase, we can adopt two strategies. One is conventional vaccinology and another is reverse vaccinology. In conventional vaccinology, first the microorganism is grown, then the antigen is selected, identification, testing of the immunogenicity component and purification is done, and then the cloning of gene is done if required, and then this antigen is tested on animals, and then the development of vaccine. And in reverse vaccinology, it takes the advantage of genome sequencing of the pathogen. The genome sequencing provides virtually all protein antigens that the pathogen can express, followed by computer analysis that predict those antigens that have most likely to be vaccine candidate. Selected genes are expressed to get purified recombinant protein, which can be tested in animal models, followed by human clinical trials. Pathogen identification and antigen selection. Information required prior to antigen selection. Pathogen life cycle, epidemiology, knowledge of pathogen structure, route of entry, interaction with cellular receptor, subsequent replication site, and disease causing mechanism. Immune control and escape. Interaction between the host and pathogen are explored with determination of the relative importance of antibodies, T cell of different types, innate immunity, and immune escape strategies during infection. Immunological requirements of an antigen selection. The antigen can induce the innate immune response. It can induce the adaptive immune response, the selection and targeting of the effector cells. These are the various approaches which can be used for antigen. We can use the whole antigen, in which inactivated antigen can be used and attenuated antigen can be pathogen can be used. Then we can use the assortant pathogen, and when the pathogen approach is not possible, we can use the subunit or split antigen. We can also use the recombinant DNA approach to vaccine antigens, like recombinant antigen vaccine, DNA vaccine, or vector vaccine. These are the technologies currently being used or investigated in vaccine design. So I will be discussing these technologies briefly. When whole pathogen approach is used, we can use the live attenuated vaccines. Vaccine created by reducing the virulence of pathogen but still keeping it viable. These vaccines consist of live but weakened virus or bacteria. It can be done by naturally occurring related organisms that are avirulent in human, including host range restricted organism or naturally occurring avirulent strains. Multiple rounds of growth of virulent organism under condition that weakens the organism, such as in tissue culture or harsh physical conditions. Genetic manipulation of the organism to reduce virulence. This is the example how the virus is attenuated. The pathogenic virus is first isolated from the patient and then grown on the human cells. The cultured virus is then used to infect the monkey cells. The virus acquires the mutation that allow it to grow well in monkey cells, but with the serial passages, the virus no longer grow well in human cells. It is attenuated and can be used as a vaccine. Now, advantage and disadvantage of live attenuated vaccines. The advantages are it mimics the natural infection, contain all the relevant pathogen-specific protein and carbohydrate antigen, higher prolonged antigen persistence with strong immune response with long-term immunity. And the disadvantages are rarely may revert to virulence, not suitable for population like pregnant females and pregnant women and immunocompromised persons, may induce mild disease symptoms and can be difficult to produce consistently. The limitation are they are not suitable for organisms that cannot grow well in culture. Those organisms whose characteristics change throughout the life cycle, like parasites or pathogen with effective immune evasion or latent stage. Then the resortant pathogen. Vaccine using resortant pathogen is a subtype of attenuated vaccine in which attenuated organism is derived from at least 2 different strains of same pathogen and express all the proteins from the both strains. Now in whole pathogen approach, killed vaccine. This vaccine consists of actual pathogen, however it has been killed either by heat treatment, gamma radiation or chemically like formaldehyde, so that they cannot replicate at all. The advantages are they induce broad immune response to multiple antigens, and the disadvantages are multiple doses are needed and they can be reactogenic. Key epitopes may be destroyed by the inactivation process. Subunit vaccines or split vaccines, where whole pathogen approach is not possible or feasible, the subunit approach is used. Selected fragment of pathogen is used as an antigen that can be protein or polysaccharide. The few examples of polysaccharide capsular antigen is vaccine is meningococcal vaccine and pneumococcal vaccine, and in split vaccine, chemical destruction of viral envelope is done, and the example is influenza vaccine, and then the protein vaccine, the acellular pertussis vaccine. The advantages are it introduces a highly specific response, non-infectious, low reactogenicity, and the disadvantages are multiple subunits are often necessary, low immunogenicity requiring adjuvants, not suitable for pathogens with characteristics that change throughout the life, like parasites. Polysaccharide conjugate vaccine. Immunogenicity of a purified polysaccharide could be enhanced by chemically linking polysaccharide to a carrier protein, that is conjugating with the protein. Conjugation transforms the T cell independent response induced by the polysaccharide to T cell dependent response that induce high affinity antibodies and immune memory. And the vector vaccine. Vaccine made by inserting the gene from the pathogenic virus into a relatively harmless carrier virus like vaccinia virus. Such vector presents the foreign antigen to the immune system in context of a live virus infection in order to stimulate immune response. The few examples of potential vectors are vaccinia virus, adenovirus, alpha virus, flavivirus, picornavirus, myxovirus. And the examples of bacteria which can be a potential vectors are Bacillus calmette guerin, Salmonella, Lactobacillus, Streptococcus, and Listeria. The advantages of this are suitable for pathogens that do not grow well in culture, and the disadvantages are pre-existing antibodies may limit the response. Different vaccine may be needed for priming and boosting. And the limitation is potentially suitable for immunocompromised or pregnant women. DNA vaccine. Vaccine that uses the DNA of a pathogen to elicit the immune response. Defined fragment of genomic DNA or specific gene coding immunogenic protein are used. They are cloned into a plasmid and delivered by injection. This is the picture showing the DNA vaccine. Viral gene is isolated. Then expression plasmid is taken, and they both are combined with recombinant DNA technology, and plasmid foreign body is made, foreign antigen is made. Then this plasmid is transformed into bacterial cell, and then with multiplication of this bacteria, we get the plasmid DNA get amplified. So this plasmid DNA purified plasmid is ready to use. For using this DNA, we can use the various delivery methods like gene gun. In this, DNA plasmid is coated with a gold particle and is taken up by the cell via a blast of pressurized helium gas from a gene gun. This may increase humoral response but is limited in allowable doses. Then another delivery method is exploration. In this, plasmid is taken by permeabilized skin followed by electric current, maximizes the DNA vaccine delivery efficiency, and it is currently in clinical trials. Then the RNA vaccines. There are two types of RNA vaccines which are in research, like RNA engineering. In this, the RNA fragment, the adding of cap and cosec sequence at 5' position and poly A at 3' position sequence to mimic the structure of endogenous messenger RNA to avoid the detection of innate immunity sensor, and adding modified nucleoside to increase the RNA stability. This is widely used in vaccine design. Then another example of RNA vaccine is thermostable RNA. In this, freeze drying of RNA and incubation with various biochemical increases the RNA stability even at high temperature. This is also widely used in vaccine design. Then virus-like particles. These are in this, the gene coding for an antigen is isolated and then inserted into a gene expression system, and then the gene expresses and the antigen amplifies, and these antigens self-assembly take place into a pentamer and self-assembly into a viral capsid, and this can be injected for immune response. Then peptide approach to vaccine antigen. Recombinant peptide technology is the short fragment of peptide are used to synthesize complete antigen containing multiple epitopes. Unnecessary and incorrect peptides are tourniqueted, resulting in a highly purified and specific antigen. Advantage is it contains both the conformational epitopes and linear epitopes. The conformational epitopes are responsible for recognition by B cells, and linear epitopes are responsible for recognition by T cells. Now, formulation of vaccine. So, formulation of vaccine can be done in different methods, like vaccine can be made of stable liquid, lyophilized formulation, or capsule. Now, adjuvant selection. In adjuvant selection, It depends upon the antigen, species to be vaccinated, route of administration, and likelihood of side effects. The characteristics of ideal adjuvant is that promotes the appropriate immune response, do not induce immune response against themselves, be stable with long shelf life, and it should be biodegradable and cheap to produce. These are the currently used licensed adjuvants. Delivery system selection. The adjuvants and the antigen should be together at the same time at same site. Several formulation and delivery system have been developed to solve this problem, like nanoparticle, liposomes, immune stimulating complexes, emulsion, and microspheres. Characteristics of a successful delivery system. A successful delivery system should protect the antigen from degradation, sustain release of antigen, and intracellular delivery of antigen contributing to cytotoxic T cell stimulation and targeting the antigen presenting cells. Other excipients can be used in vaccine optimization. These are salt, buffer, bulking agent, stabilizers, preservatives, and lyoprotectants and antibiotics. Testing in relevant animal models. Application of animal model in vaccine development. Animal models are used to assess the vaccine safety, protection against challenge infection from the pathogen of interest, dose and formulation of vaccine, that is the enhancement of the immune response through adjuvants, optimum route of delivery, onset, magnitude, and duration of immune response, the type of immunity and correlates of protection. Animal model in vaccine. Usually the non-human primates are used in vaccine development, but they are very expensive to maintain. So rodents and other animals which are called large animal model are used. Criteria to consider when using animal model for vaccine development. Similar development of immune organs, access to systemic and mucosal compartments, similar physiology or specific delivery, pattern of pathogenesis and receptor, route of transmission, duration of immune memory. Limitation of animal model in vaccine development. There are few limitations in animal models like hypoinfection state of pathogen. This can be solved by excessive challenge dose, and the natural route cannot be used for challenge due to absence of the pathogen receptor. This can be solved by use of unnatural route of pathogen delivery. Toxicology evaluation. Safety is the utmost parameter which is assessed during all phases of clinical trials, like preclinical toxicology study, clinical trials, peri-approval commitments, and post-licensure surveillance. The goal of preclinical study are most important safety, then the evaluation of single dose toxicity, and the evaluation of repeated dose toxicity, primary pharmacokinetics and secondary pharmacokinetics, pharmacokinetics of a vaccine, like vaccine absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. Physical and chemical parameters of performance of the immunogen, like quality assurance, toxicology testing, dose ranging, and quality control testing. Small scale production of vaccine for clinical trials. This diagram is showing how at different level small scale production is done for clinical trials. In phase 1 and phase 2, small scale production is done of vaccine for clinical trials. Comparison between large scale and small scale vaccine manufacture. There is a difference between large scale production and small scale production of vaccine. The first difference is premises. Generally not purpose built. It is not purpose built, often in diagnostic or research unit, and in large scale manufacture the premises are purpose built. Then the personnel may also have responsibilities in research and diagnostic and research. and in large scale manufacture, the pharmaceutical product is their own responsibility. Then production procedure. In small scale, it is manual, and in large scale manufacturing, it is automated. Then batch size. In small scale, it is usually small, and in large, it is large. Inputs difficult to access, and in large scale, it is easy to access. Then funding. In small scale, it is unreliable, but in large scale, it is assured funding. Now submission of the application to the national regulatory authorities. So different countries have a different regulatory authorities. In US, the investigation new drug application is submitted to Food and Drug Administration, and in European, it is submitted to the European Medicine Agency. In India, the Central Drug Standard Control Organization (CDSCO), under the Director General of Health Services, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India, is the national regulatory authorities. And those countries who do not have their own national regulatory authority, they follow the WHO pre-qualification program. This protocol includes all details of vaccine, that is like raw material use, proportion of each component, status of the preclinical studies, along with the details of the clinical test site, candidate for human trial, number of person and their age group and health background, whether they are insured against any adverse reaction. The vaccine candidate also has to set up the ethical committee, which includes both internal and external members. This committee too has been approved by the regulator. If the company does not have their own ethical committee, then they can borrow one from established universities, any of the institute affiliated to Indian Council of Medical Research. In Indian scenario, all vaccines, whether domestically manufactured or imported, must comply with the requirements and guidelines specified in the Drug and Cosmetic Rule 1954 and the new Drug and Clinical Trial Rule 2019. A manufacturer having conducted preclinical studies on animal has to submit a detailed protocol to the Drug Controller General of India to get permission for the first phase of human trials. Application can be submitted through a Sugam portal for review and approval by Central Drug Standard Control Organization through this website for the registration and import license of in India. Clinical development phase. In clinical development phase, we have 4 phases: phase 1 clinical trial, phase 2 clinical trial, phase 3 and phase 4 clinical trials. In phase 1 clinical trial, we assess the safety in human and determine the type and extent of immunogenicity of vaccine provokes. Typically, it involves 20 to 80 adults and can be non-blind, meaning the researchers know whether or not the vaccine or placebo is administered. The study is conducted on a low-risk individual, usually healthy adults, to determine the tolerability. In phase 2 clinical trials, we should study the safety and immunogenicity, potential side effects, determine optimum dose and schedule, immunization schedule, and method of administering the vaccine. A phase 2 clinical trial involves more research subjects than the phase 1, normally several hundred, example 100 to 300, and the trial are randomized, well controlled, and include placebo control group. In phase 3 clinical trial is to assess the safety in large group of people, determine when or rare side effects have been a better chance of occurring, and ascertain vaccine efficacy. Vaccine is administered to very large group of people, like thousands of individuals. In phase 4 clinical trial, these studies are conducted after the vaccine approval and launch in the market, also called the post-marketing surveillance studies. Purpose is to obtain the additional information about its risk and benefit and optimum use. Vaccine approval. Sir, efficacy is a third. Vaccine approval. Licensure in US. In US, after completion of clinical trials, the application is filed by the biological license application for review, and if it is approved, then the vaccine is approved, and if it is not approved, then additional review is done after 4 to 6 months. Licensure in European Union. In European Union, there are 3 methods for licensure of a vaccine. That is a centralized procedure, mutual recognition procedure, or decentralized procedure. In centralized procedure, the application is submitted to the Central Procedure European Medicine Agency, and in mutual recognition, there is a reference member state which in mutual recognition procedure, reference member state already issues a marketing authorization, and in decentralized procedure, the applicant requests in one country which acts as a reference member state, and it gives the recognition to other countries. Licensure in India. Central Drug Standard Control Organization for clinical development and market authorization for joint inspection of manufacturing facilities and post-marketing monitoring. Other agencies which are involved are State Licensing Authority, Review Committee on Genetic Manipulation for Research and Development, Preclinical and Clinical Evaluation of DNA Vaccines, Indian Council of Medical Research for Clinical Evaluation of Novel Vaccines, Central Drugs Laboratory for testing of vaccine, Subject Expert Committee, and Technical Committee expert for evaluation of trial protocol and report. Licensure in India. Approval of protocol, then submission of clinical study report of phase 1 and phase 2 with indigenously manufactured experimental batch of vaccine, application and protocol for conducting phase 3 studies with experimental batches, review of final report, and application for market authorization of vaccine, approval of market authorization of vaccine, application and issuance of manufacturing license. Regulatory inspections. CDSCO and State Drug Inspector along with the expert from CDL Kasoli participate in such inspections. On-site evaluation for new introduced vaccine involving reviewer in inspection, for example, meningococcal, pentavalent, and rota vaccines. Inspection for compliance to post-approval change submission. Role of DGCI. The role of DGCI is to examine and approval of the clinical trial report, approval for production of trial batches, acceptance of testing report from Central Drug Laboratory, and then final approval to manufacture. WHO pre-qualification of vaccine. Designated for countries without functional national regulatory authority, provided as a service to the UNICEF and other UN agencies that purchase vaccine to determine the acceptability in principle of vaccine from different sources of supply to these agencies, assesses whether vaccines are effective, have acceptable safety profiles, and comply with the regulations of functional national regulatory authority, provide assurance of continued acceptability throughout reassessments, testing of lot, and follow-up complaints and adverse effect following immunization. Large-scale manufacturing of vaccine. This flowchart shows the large-scale manufacturing of vaccine, which include the selecting of strain for vaccine production, then growing this microorganism, isolation and purification of a microorganism, inactivation of microorganism, formulation of vaccine, and quality control and release of lot. The viruses are the first grown on primary or continuous cell lines, and bacteria are grown on artificial medium. Then the master cell bank is made, and from the master cell bank, working cell bank is made, and then from these lots, large-scale fermentation is done, and then the further processing of the vaccine is done. Large-scale vaccine manufacture. Bulk manufacture of vaccine may be facilitated using a large-scale fermenters. Isolation and purification of microorganism. Product isolation is the removal of those components whose properties vary markedly from that of the desired product. Purification selectively separates and retains the desired product at the highest purity per its predetermined specification. Remove unwanted components. The most common method of vaccine production is based on the initial fermentation process followed by purification. These are the various purification methods which are used in vaccine manufacturing, like centrifugation, filtration, chromatography. This is a general flow diagram of a purification train in vaccine production. It includes various filters and centrifugation. This flowchart is showing how polysaccharide conjugate vaccine is made. These are the automated vaccine formulation vessels. Post-licensure pharmacovigilance. Post-licensure pharmacosurveillance vaccine pharmacovigilance. Pharmacovigilance activities include the collection, analysis, and report of severe adverse effects. Assessment and requirement in pharmacovigilance. Understand and acquire background baseline data of rare event of interest to compare with the post-immunization events. Continuous risk-benefit assessment is essential. Adverse event data post-immunization must be collected and analyzed. Severe adverse effect must be reported within 15 days. Life-threatening fatal event must be reported within 7 days. Safety report must be updated periodically. Now, vaccine deployment. In vaccine deployment, deployment means bringing the resources into action. The deployment is broadly divided into decision-making criteria for introduction of new vaccine and implementation plan for introduction of new vaccine. The decision-making criteria is further divided into political and technical factors and the feasibility and scheduling. And after this, decision-making is done. These are the various factors in decision making. First is political and technical factors. In political and technical factors, the various different other factors are considered, like burden of disease, political and public health priorities, comparison with other interventions like other vaccines, economic and financial criteria, and vaccine safety, efficacy, and quality. Then the feasibility and scheduling. Feasibility and scheduling are related to the characteristics of the product to be procured. They should be evaluated by technical personnel since they affect the functionality, logistics, supplies, performance, and other aspects of the vaccine program that can influence the decision making on the introduction of the new vaccine. So, available vaccine presentation functional for the program. The following question is asked. Whether the vaccine is monovalent or combination of a vaccine, single or multiple doses are required, liquid or lyophilized form, and storage condition. Vaccine supply sufficient to a guarantee regular supply, ensure an adequate, timely, and regular supply. Program prepared to introduce a new vaccine. Program is evaluated for overall performance. Identify any aspects that need to be improved. Decision making. After analyzing a political, technical, and planning and feasibility factors and reviewing the result, National Immunization Program Manager will have sufficient elements to support the preliminary technical decision. This analysis will conclude to two possible decisions: recommended introduction of new vaccine, postponed introduction. Now implementation. Plan for introduction of a vaccine. To introduce a new vaccine in the National Immunization Program, a plan of action should be drafted that include all aspects necessary for implementation of the national, departmental, state, and local municipality level. Technical justification for introduction, which includes the objective and goal. The objectives are based on the pre-introduction analysis, which includes the burden of the disease and the proposed goal, like control or elimination or eradication of the disease. Then the scope of application and target population. Geographical area and target population of vaccination is defined depending on the risk profile of the disease. The introduction strategy is selected and the goal is set. Selection of the introduction strategy. It depends on the characteristics of the disease, whether it affects the entire population or only some risk groups. These are the various activities involved in implementation, like planning and scheduling, coordination between different authorities, standardization, procurement and distribution of biological supplies, cold chain and storage, safe vaccination training, social mobilization and communication, implementation and vaccination, amendment of program information records, epidemiological surveillance, and monitoring and supervision. Cost of plan. In order to ensure implementation of plan, the total budget must be calculated to mobilize and manage financial resources for its implementation. Timetable. Ensure that the plan is implemented in a defined period. It is important to establish the time allotted to each activity is timetabled. Then evaluation of vaccine. New vaccine is evaluated at all levels of immunization program. Evaluation is usually performed twice a year. The primary method of evaluating the new vaccine is to monitor vaccine coverage in the municipalities or district. New vaccine introduction should lead to reduction in disease over time. The indicator used for evaluating the new vaccine are vaccine coverage, dropout rate, and vaccine wastage factor. Impact assessment. Measuring the impact of vaccine depends upon the nature of the disease to be controlled or prevented and the current surveillance system. There are different methods for assessing the impact of vaccine. The most common method is percentage reduction in burden of disease attributed to vaccine. This is the level of coverage attained. Challenges in vaccine development. Challenges in vaccine development. Inadequate clinical data and lack of detailed information on protective correlates of immunity contribute to product failure in clinical trials. Lack of information on the infectious exposure on intended vaccine recipients. Vaccines are to be used in population with less responsive immune system. Antigenic variation requires constant updating of vaccine formulation. High cost of vaccine development resulting in premature abandonment of potential useful product. Inadequate access of vaccine in poor countries. Temporal association between adverse event and vaccination. Vaccine development in pandemic. Developing a vaccine quickly requires fast start and many steps executed in parallel before confirming a successful outcome of another step. For example, platform with experience in human phase 1 clinical trials may be able to proceed in parallel with testing in animal models. It is very important to highlight that no vaccine candidate should be used or issued an emergency approval at country level if it has not finished phase 3 trials. Emergency use authorization. In situations like pandemic, many countries follow emergency use authorization, which is an emergency use authorization for products that are still being finalized in test or being brought into the market for specific situation. In EUA is used during the emergency to help make certain products available that have been found to diagnose, treat, or prevent serious life-threatening disease. EUA is given when known potential benefit outweighs the potential risk. This is the diagram showing how a vaccine is developed in traditional way and how vaccine is developed in pandemic. In traditional way, the different steps are proceeded one by one, so it takes more time for completing the clinical trials. But in case of pandemic, the different phases are conducted simultaneously, so it takes less time. Special vaccine approval process followed in influenza. In influenza pandemic, two approval processes are used. First is mock-up procedure. In mock-up procedure, mock-up vaccine is developed and authorized in advance before pandemic. Vaccine is developed on basis of information generated with virus strain that could be potential cause of pandemic. Once the actual virus strain is identified, it is substituted in the mock-up vaccine. Another method is emergency procedure. This is used when pandemic is already declared. Follow a fast-track approval of vaccine development after a pandemic has already been declared. Authorization of this pandemic vaccine is quicker than the normal vaccine, around 70 days instead of 110 days. Manufacturer uses the rolling review process, supplying data on vaccine under development as they become available. Once the sufficient data to evaluate the benefit-risk ratio has been collected, the manufacturer make a formal application. The committee assesses the dossier and give opinion to the European Commission, which will then issue a final decision within approximately 25 to 40 days. The vaccine will be given conditional approval, which means its benefits outweighs its risk. The influenza vaccines licensed via the mock-up procedure and emergency procedure are these. The approval of COVID-19 vaccine. This is how the typical process of approval of a vaccine, and this is the procedure how COVID-19 vaccine is approved. Here different phases are conducted in parallel way, like phase 2 and phase 3 trials along with the manufacturing of the vaccine. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Government of India recently released a operational guideline of COVID-19 vaccine. This document have roles of different ministry department in COVID-19 vaccine implementation, and it also have a virtual platform for COVID-19 vaccine training and capacity building, a digital platform that CoWIN, a beneficiary of COVID-19 vaccine is defined, vaccine logistics and cold chain management, communication and social mobilization, adverse events following immunization, and monitoring and supervision. Challenges of developing a vaccine during pandemic. These are the challenges which are faced during the vaccine development in pandemic, like cost, use of unlicensed newer technologies for large-scale manufacture, infrastructure, burdening countries and their regulatory authorities with multiple trials. In high mortality situation, population may not accept randomized controlled trials with placebo groups. Take-home message: vaccine developed in a complex multi-step process. From concept to licensure, it takes many years to develop a vaccine. Following authorization to market, it may be necessary to provide evidence of economic value prior to government approving the implementation of new vaccine program. Safety is a major issue for any vaccine. It is assessed at every step of vaccine development, and safety surveillance continue indefinitely after licensure. Clinical and epidemiological studies indicate that the licensed vaccine have a benefit risk profile where the benefit of vaccine clearly outweighs the risk of adverse effects. First slide, title slide. Total कितने slide बनाएंगे? Sir, 109. क्या सोच? सर ये कम करिए. सर ये कम करिए. बहुत खुश हो. This is not the way to take time. Although you have done lot of work, hard work can be seen here.
escape करके बस पे चला जाना
तो वैसे ही जाएगा सारी 100 दोबारा से वैक्सीन डेवलपमेंट एंड डिप्लॉयमेंट तुम क्या बता रहे थे सर डिप्लॉयमेंट
ना बहुत सारा एडिशनल था, टाइप्स ऑफ वैक्सीन।
जब भी 1 घंटे का सेमिनार और 40-45 स्लाइड से ऊपर नहीं होनी चाहिए। अब इतने सारे में क्या क्या मैसेज किया है? कुछ भी नहीं। मुझे समझ नहीं आया, बीच में लगा हम पब्लिक हेल्थ पढ़ रहे हैं, फिर समझ नहीं आया शायद फार्माकोलॉजी पढ़ने की कोशिश हो रही है। माइक्रोबायोलॉजी कहाँ है इसमें? एज ए माइक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट वैक्सीन डेवलपमेंट में क्या चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है?
सर प्री क्लिनिकल टेस्टिंग जो होती है और क्लिनिकल फेजेस जो है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है सर। जो प्री क्लिनिकल टेस्टिंग में जो एक्सप्लोरेटरी फेज है और एनिमल टेस्टिंग वो है इम्पोर्टेंट है।
वो तो करेगा ना, फार्मा वाला करेगा। आपका क्या रोल है एज ए माइक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट? व्हाट इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर यू? वैक्सीन डेवलपमेंट में
सर प्री क्लिनिकल फेज में जो एक्सप्लोरेटरी फेज है वो इम्पोर्टेंट है।
अच्छा, मुझे एक चीज बता, जब वैक्सीन डेवलप करते हैं तो व्हाट इज द इम्यून पैरामीटर दैट वी आर लुकिंग फॉर? तो कहीं नहीं है,
क्योंकि जो एज ए माइक्रोबायोलॉजिस्ट डेवलपमेंट में हाउ टू सेलेक्ट ए कैंडिडेट और डिप्लॉयमेंट में हाउ टू नो व्हिच कैंडिडेट इज वर्किंग, ये दो चीजें जाननी।
why did we choose the spike protein for COVID-19? Why not the envelope protein? Why not the ORF product? ये क्यों किया हमने पिकअप? उसका भी एक पोर्शन पिकअप किया। mRNA वैक्सीन जो चल रही है यूके और यूएस में, उसमें तो उसका भी एक पोर्शन ही पिकअप किया। It's coding only for the receptor binding domain of the spike protein. क्यों? So that is what the the essence of the seminar was, to find out.